Fear. It's something that can keep us from praying. It doesn't seem like it would be something that keeps us from praying because a lot of times when people are afraid, they tend to pray more. Um, but I think fear masks itself in a number of different ways. That it comes across as maybe busyness or a lack of a priority. That we don't come to God in prayer. We don't enter into God's presence because we tell ourselves a number of different reasons why. But really, deep down in our hearts, something is insecure. Something's afraid of what might happen, or maybe better put, something's afraid of what might not happen. And so we don't pray. We're afraid that we might confirm everything that we've believed about God, that he doesn't actually care about us, that he doesn't love us, that we're not somehow good enough to come into his presence and to talk with him. And I think that fear keeps us from praying. I think fear probably keeps more of us from praying than we realize. And the beautiful thing about it is that if we can just come into the presence of God, God will meet us there. And in his grace and in his love, he will begin to transform that fear into faith. We will begin to see that our fears were not realized, that these circumstances that seem so out of our control or that we're afraid might be bigger than God, actually are circumstances that God can actually speak into. And even if he doesn't deal with them the way that we want him to, his presence can actually be with us in a way that is incredibly helpful and meaningful and shows us that he does love us and that he does care about us. But the only way to do that is to slow down, to enter into his presence, and to actually pray. This can be scary. It can be hard. I know a lot of us have gone through a lot of different things. I know for myself, there's been a lot of things that I've struggled with in the last few years that have, in many cases, kept me from coming to God and praying, or kept me from praying certain things out of a fear for what might happen if I ask for them. What if God doesn't give them to me? What if God does give them to me? Do I really want this? There's lots of fear that can keep us from coming into the presence of God and keep us from praying. And so I want to encourage you to pray today. If you're someone who's afraid, if you're someone who is just caught up in this thing that seems bigger than you and seems bigger than God and seems outside of everything's control, if you're just swallowed up in chaos and pain and evil, I want you to be bold and courageous, and I want you to pray. I want to encourage you to enter into the presence of God, and you don't have to even say much, if anything. Just enter into the presence of God. Just lift your heart up to him and just pray. Just be in his presence. Let him minister to your heart. Let him speak to you in that moment.